morning, afternoon, or evening from wherever you're tuning in from today. Welcome back to our mini series on continuous quality improvement practices for nonprofits, where you can learn the basics of setting a good CQI foundation in under 10 minutes. Now that you've built your logic model and created data dictionaries, it's time to tackle the backbone and silent star of consistent program delivery: procedure documentation. Procedure documentation captures your organization's knowledge and ensures quality service delivery no matter who's on your team. By the end of this video, you'll understand what procedure documentation is, the key elements that make it effective, and why it's your insurance policy against lost institutional knowledge for analysis and reporting. Let's get started. Procedure documentation is another handy tool to support your organization in getting things done consistently and correctly. It captures the step-by-step processes that turn tools like logic models and data dictionaries into reliable, repeatable actions that any team member can follow. Picture this scenario at Alice's Animal Rescue. Your best volunteer coordinator gives 2 weeks' notice, and suddenly you realize their entire adoption process exists only in their head. New volunteers don't know the intake steps, medical protocols may vary depending on who's working, and your consistent service quality disappears with that departing team member. Procedure documentation provides clear, repeatable instructions for completing organizational tasks and processes, ensuring consistent quality regardless of who's performing them. Think of it as the bridge between your data practices and their actual implementation. For example, if your logic model says you provide educational classes, then your procedures document exactly how those classes are planned, delivered, evaluated, analyzed, and reported to key funders, ensuring that they can be replicated with ease and successfully accomplished by anyone within your organization. Every effective procedure document needs 6 essential elements. Let's break them down using Alice's Responsible Pet Ownership Program. I know this is obvious, but clear titles are often and easily overlooked. We've all spent way too much time searching for that one document, only to discover it was saved under some obscure and overly specific title that made sense to whoever created it. Remember, the entire point of documenting processes is accessibility, and that starts with titles that anyone can quickly search and find. Make it easy for your team to locate what they need when they need it. A purpose statement isn't required for every document, but it can significantly improve understanding. If a brief purpose statement will help others understand why this procedure exists and how it supports your mission, then you might want to take a few extra moments just to make sure you include one. This simple addition connects daily tasks to bigger organizational goals and helps staff understand the why behind their work. Step-by-step instructions use numbered sequential actions written in plain language that anyone can follow. Avoid jargon and spell out all acronyms. Again, we're aiming for accessibility, so don't assume prior knowledge here. Your goal is for clear and concise instructions that a brand new team member can follow successfully without additional explanation. And don't forget to be kind to your future selves. Be sure to include helpful tips, reminders, or even warnings for steps where you know mistakes commonly happen or where there are tricky aspects to remember. These small notes can save hours of frustration later. When multiple people are involved, it helps to explicitly state who does what, when, and what authority they have. Clearly defined roles and responsibilities can prevent confusion, reduce overlap, and can ensure accountability by making everyone's role crystal clear. Take the time to list all forms, tools, systems, or resources needed, with direct links when possible. If links aren't available, you can specify where to find these items and note any advanced preparation required. Make it easy for people to gather everything they need before getting started. The follow-up is often where well-intended processes tend to fall apart. You can include specific checkpoints that verify the process was completed correctly and consistently. Even better, you can schedule calendar reminders for everyone involved so the process happens on time every time without relying on memory alone. Now that we understand the core elements of procedure documentation, let's look at 2 different examples in action. The first example is a logic model review and update procedure. We can see it has everything we're looking for, from a clear title to easy to follow statements regarding the purpose, responsibilities, materials, and even checkpoints intended for this document. We can also see they've included an easy to follow steps at the bottom. Here is another well thought out example, but now specifically focused on data dictionary development and management. We can see across both of these examples, our documentation is clear, complete, and ready for anyone to implement successfully. It can be easy to think of procedure documentation as simply busy work or something that can continuously be put off once we have the process and procedures in action. But it's so much more than that. It's a strategic investment that protects your organization's most valuable asset, your institutional knowledge. Here are a few ways documenting your processes and procedures can help you in the long run. When experienced staff leave, their expertise stays behind in documented form. New team members can deliver quality services from day one instead of learning through months of trial and error. For example, when Alice's volunteer coordinator of 5 years leaves, the incoming volunteer coordinator doesn't have to guess how long orientation should take, what safety topics to cover, or when volunteers are ready for independent animal handling. All of that institutional knowledge is captured in step by step procedures, allowing seamless transitions that protect both the service quality and organizational memory. When everyone follows the same documented procedures, your data collection and program implementation remain consistent, making analysis more reliable and reporting to funders more accurate. Instead of Alice's program coordinator spending hours trying to reconcile why exactly adoption outcomes are varying wildly between different volunteers, well-documented procedures ensure that every adoption follows the same process and generates comparable data. This consistency allows you to focus on program trends rather than procedural variations and gives funders confidence in your reported outcomes because they know the underlying processes are standardized and replicable across your team. Your clients receive the same high quality experience, whether they work with your newest volunteer or your most experienced staff member. This consistency builds trust with those you serve, provides greater agency for your staff, and supports your organization's outcomes. When every adopter at Alice receives the same support, regardless of which volunteer helps them, it builds community confidence in the organization. Staff also feel empowered because they know exactly what's expected, and consistent processes support the reliable outcomes that your logic model depends on. New staff and volunteers learn faster with clear written procedures. Instead of extensive shadowing periods, they have reference guides for independent work, potentially reducing training time and costs. Rather than having new Alice volunteers shadow experienced staff for weeks to learn the animal intake process, they can start by reviewing the documented procedure, then practice with supervision for a few sessions, and then also work independently with written guides as a backup. This frees up experienced staff for other duties while getting new volunteers productive faster, reducing the overall investment in training time and supervision cost. By putting this practice into place, you can transform your operational consistency in just weeks by documenting your most critical processes. The time invested up front saves countless hours of confusion, training, and quality issues down the road. Now, let's put your knowledge to the test with a quick quiz on procedure documentation. I will ask you several multiple choice questions and wait a few seconds before showing you the answer. Feel free to pause the video if you need more time. What are the 6 essential elements of effective procedure documentation? A. Title, purpose, steps, roles, materials, and quality checks. B. Name, goals, actions, people, tools, and review. C. Header, objective, processes, staff resources, and validation. Procedure documentation helps nonprofits by A. Retaining institutional knowledge when staff leave. B. Ensuring consistent service quality across team members. Or C. All of the above. The purpose statement in procedure documentation should do which of the following? A. List the specific steps to complete the task. B. Explain why the procedure exists and how it supports organizational goals. Or C. Identify who is responsible for each step. Great work! If you had a hard time answering any of these questions, or if you want to look over a certain section before moving on, use the chapter breakdown to jump to the section you're interested in reviewing. If you're ready to protect your organization's knowledge, you can start by identifying three most critical processes. Think about what would create the biggest impact if key people were suddenly unavailable. Use the 6 essential elements shared in this video to document one process this week. If you're interested in learning more about United Way of Greater Houston's efforts in this space, through our Coffee and Quality programs, we are taking this work a step further by empowering our partner agencies and community partners to lead the way in strengthening data practices across the nonprofit landscape. Check the link in the description for more information.